Meaghan Chitwood, and welcome back to From Overlooked to Consistently Booked. I help sales professionals and business owners build strong, effective referral networks so they don't have to chase business because it comes to them. Each week, we break down what actually makes people refer you, trust you, and talk about you. And this week, we are talking about what happens after you meet someone and creative ways to follow up and why most people disappear. With Hal Craig with HoffPro.
Hello.
Hey, good. So to continue our conversation around impressions and visibility, I want to talk about how do we stay visible after we've met someone. We might have decided that that's somebody that could be either a good customer or a good referral partner. How do we ultimately stay top of mind?
I mean, I think you first have to be organized. Like you have to have a good CRM, like where it's like, because I used to be, I would meet somebody that, hey, I'm interested in getting something, like, okay, and I'd put a note in a notebook, right? And then I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot about that, right? You know, to have some sort of system where it's like, oh, I need to follow up with this and, you know, and then put notes on like what makes them, which leads me to like, if you do a little digging, do a little research. So you met somebody and you're like, okay, they've got this person, they work for so-and-so, pull them up, stalk them, right? Like look on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, like what do they like? What do they, if you know more about them, then you can kind of be creative in terms of like a strategy to, you know, get in front of them a little bit more, or like what, you know, having conversation with them where it feels more comfortable.
I often say I love the time in which we are living because you have access to so much information. I hadn't thought about it from the perspective of figuring out what people like so that you can have a more meaningful impression. But I've thought about it in terms of we can get the information of who's doing what and who's in what role and what company. But you really can. I hadn't thought about the fact that you can find out that, you know, I'm at volleyball tournaments this time of year and right.
Right. You don't want to be creepy about it, but you've got to find where it's like, I think of, you know, we actually were just talking about our friend Dawn, right? Yeah. So she had was connecting me with a marketing company and did some business, and I wanted to thank them. So it's like I was going to do, like, I wonder what this guy's favorite beer is. And so it's like I'm looking through Instagram, Facebook, and I'm like, does he drink a particular? He drinks Miller Lite. So I'm like, okay, well, we're just going to get some Miller Lite. And then
that helps the budget.
You know, it helps budget. But then we had some labels made with the marketing company on it and wrapped the Miller Lite in that and then gave that. So again, I don't know if he liked it or not, but it was more of just it's the point of being intentional of like, okay, I knew that's his beer of choice, or, you know, and hey, let's take a little extra time and energy and make it feel special with what it looks like.
Yeah. And it's just it takes a moment. Right?
Intentionality. So there, you know, we talk about the book Giftology, and there's a quote in there that I just love. It's like I'm living by it now. Where he said, "It's not the thought that counts; it's the thoughtful thought that counts." Yes. Right? Because people do stuff all the time, but are you being intentional with it?
Yeah, and taking that just extra moment to make it a little more memorable.
Yeah, and you just want, it doesn't take long. Like, again, not being weird about it, but it's like, so I was talking to a friend, I'm like, who are your top 5 prospects you're looking for? And so he gave them to me, and so I just did a little research. I'm like, okay, this is the buyer, all right? She went to Auburn, you know, not the same time I did, but she went to Auburn. Yep. So, okay, so she's an Auburn fan. You know, they do this. And so it's like, okay, like, hey, let's talk about what does this account mean to you financially? Like, let's take a budget and go, let's come up with a strategy to then, you know, get in front, kind of like we talked a few episodes ago about the shoe and CVS, right? That cost that guy $400 and it was $1 million account. Like, what can we spend to get you in front of that person?
Yeah, and there's a million creative ways to ultimately do it.
Yeah.
Right? So you've used this strategy before in your previous types of business.
Yeah, so I love, like, it's ingrained in me. Like, I don't know, it's probably why we're in entrepreneurship. You know, it's like standing out of the crowd, like not being like everybody else. Like I tried to, so for a stint, I was working with Cisco Foods, and we had to sell groceries to restaurants. Yep. Right. And I would, as a salesperson, you would bring in business cards and you would, hey, can I meet the owner, and drop off a business card. Everybody did that. Right. Yeah. So I remember even when I owned a restaurant, like, we just kept all those business cards under the cash register. Like, you would lift up a cash register, tons of salespeople, business cards. So I went and bought pocket knives. Again, not much, $5.
Yeah.
And I put a card with it, with my business card, and it said something like, a pocket knife is useful. You can cut boxes, open bills, cut your dishwasher if he calls in sick. Just made it comical. But so is a knowledgeable food rep who understands food costs, analysis, menu design, marketing. I would love the opportunity to see if I can add value. And I would bring that in and I would say, hey, and I would know the owner's name or the decision maker. I wouldn't just drop it off. I'd be like, hey, can you give this to Mark? I'll follow up later and make sure he gets that knife. Guess what? That knife got in the hand of the decision maker almost every time. It didn't, like I tell people, it wouldn't guarantee me the business, but more often than not, I got a meeting.
And a meeting means it's one step closer to business than.
It was $5. And it's a $5 knife and some intentionality. It doesn't take much. Like I tell people, you don't have to spend a fortune. You just have to be creative. And if you're not creative, hire me. I'll do it. I'll be creative for you, and we'll come up with a plan to do it. So.
Well, that's your unique selling proposition for your business. Is you are the creative thought. You're gonna think about that for your customer, so they don't have to.
Right.
You're gonna come up with that ultimate plan once you've identified what the actual objective is.
Yeah. So I think of just be what you're good at, right? So it's even with podcasts, right? People use other people who are really good at setting up and creating podcasts because that's not what we do, right? We can be here talking. Let them do their good thing. Gifting, we have someone who's really good at gifting, but the strategy in terms of prospecting and strategy in terms of retaining clients, I'm really good at it. So it's coming up with a plan, figuring out, hey, here's your budget, and then let's come up with a strategy to keep them or get them.
Well, and I appreciate now you're literally thinking more long-term plans. It's not even just one and done. I'm going to a trade show. What's the thoughtful thing? It's what is the strategic step-by-step many touch points that will get us the hundreds of thousands of impressions we need to have in order to ultimately get that business.
Yeah. So we do. So what we're trying to do is you even tier it out. So hey, if you are looking forward to meet the owner of Blue Cross Blue Shield, that may be an A tier, right? Yeah. Then you may have somebody as a B tier and a C tier. And so it's just okay, here, what is this client worth to you? And then what's your budget? And then let's come up with a strategy where it's you may drop off, they may be Alabama fans. And so it's you may drop off in the fall, some tickets and a parking pass with a note that just said, something. Just makes them think about you. Again, it doesn't have to cost a lot. It's just being intentional with it. Yeah. And eventually, like we were talking about the retaining part, if their person who's taking care of them now is not treating them the same way, guess what? Eventually they're going to be hey, this person's a lot nicer. He's giving me stuff or she's giving me things. I want to give her a chance or him a chance for this business.
Yeah. And it's, again, just being thoughtful, which I don't think everybody thinks or spends enough time doing these days because we think about it in terms of speed and numbers.
Right. Or growth. We have tons of meetings on how do we grow, sales, business development, let's grow, which is fine. That's important. But then just like we were talking about, there's other companies that are having those same meetings, sales development, business development, that are actively out trying to get your and our clients. Yeah. So if we're not super intentional about keeping who we have, and it's just doing your job is the bare minimum, right? So if they're hiring us to do IT support, we talk about bare minimum is IT support, right? And customer service, it should be. What do you do over the top? Whether it's an experience or a gift or bring them in for something, that's the stuff that's going to allow them to keep them versus getting taken by somebody else.
Yeah. Well, and a B&I strategy that I like around that too is being of more value to your customer than even only you provide, right? So if you need anything, call me because I've got a whole bunch of people that I could introduce you to solve many other problems. Can be some of those impressions to think positively through. So it's you have a plumbing problem, call me.
Right.
You have an HVAC problem, call me. I'm more than happy I can help.
I'm the know it person.
Yeah. Which just adds additional impressions and thoughtful ones as people are really thinking through.
Yeah.
Who they're going to work with next.
We were, I think it was at our last week or the week before, Kimberly Darnell in our BNI group, she said, everyone has a tagline. I guess she's a commercial real estate, but she's I guess my tagline is, I know a guy.
Yeah.
Because she's every time I know a guy, I know someone who can help me with this. And she does. It's got to get her.
When she was describing her business, it was clear you would want to do business with her because not only is she going to get you the real estate transaction, she's going to help you with the signs, she's going to help you with the build out, she's going to help you with everything else. And it's almost like a one-stop shop for getting your business open.
I think of if we've got to that book we were talking about where it's like he asked the question and it was just like like it was awesome. It just opened my mind to. He said, "You got two companies." And this is that Andy Andrews book, where he's like, "You've got two companies. One gives great service. One gives greater service. Which one's going to get more business?"
I'm assuming greater service.
That's what we would assume. But it's actually 50-50. And it's because if you're not in that industry, if I'm not in the IT industry, if I'm not in, then I don't know the difference in greater.
Yeah.
So he said the people who are going to get the business are the one who gives the OGV, the obvious greater value. Like so obvious that you're giving value that even if I don't know IT, I know that you're giving me that value.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
was huge.
So what are some ways people can follow up without being too salesy, but be really intentional about it?
I mean, not just the use of promotion or product. They can like have events, right?
Yeah.
Like say, hey, we're going to have a happy hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember we had a guy in our group, Larry, he was a financial advisor. He had bourbon tastings, right? And so he would invite his clients and he would invite prospects and said, hey, the third Thursday of every month, come to the office. And he would go spend, I don't know, $300. Yeah. But he would buy bourbon, good bourbon. He would just it was great, brilliant. I loved it because it gathered people, prospects and, his current clients, and it didn't cost him much.
Yeah. And it's just a way of continuing to have touch points.
Yeah, just having an event. Like it's just, again, there's so many ways to do it. It's just a matter of being intentional and like we talked about, not being annoying, right?
Yeah.
Like, the people that like we talked about the cookie company, I get an email every day. Like, I don't need that anymore. Like, send me one a week or one every 2 weeks.
So you got to tell the whole cookie story. You got to tell the whole cookie story.
Oh, goodness. So I have a friend of mine, but she's also a client, but she was telling me how, like, have good gifts for people. You need to check this cookie company out. And so I was like, okay. So I checked it out and great reviews. Great. This must be the best cookie you will ever eat. So 3 cookies delivered with tax and shipping was almost $75. And
it better be the best cookies I've ever had in my life.
That's what I said. It was just like, goodness, they were expensive cookies. So we did it and signed up. But I get emails daily, sometimes twice a day from this cookie company. I'm like, I get it. When I have a need for that cookie, like I know where to go for $25 cookies, but I don't need emails all the time.
Yeah, and then you lose them completely because you're not doing it with the right intention.
Correct.
I can't imagine somebody who pays $75 for 3 cookies wanting 2 emails a day. Like, how are you at that out of touch? Mm-mm. I don't get it.
No, and that's another thing I'm learning too is like there's a whole different, like what we think is expensive is a different level of not expensive, right? So $75 for 3 cookies, like we're thinking that's expensive. Who would I can go, but for some people that's nothing. I mean, I'm sure there's cookies even more expensive than that. Yeah. But, I just learned this because of hats. Like this hat in my mind was expensive. It was like $40. But I just became a vendor for a new hat. It's like they're $80 hats. Yeah. Like who's gonna buy an $80 hat? But there's people out there who need an $80 hat.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here. We're going to have you back one more time for our next week. And we're going to talk about how to make lasting impressions with different items as well. So remember, referrals don't come from chasing. They come from connection. And when you build the right network, business follows. If this was helpful, subscribe for more conversations like this. And if you're ready to grow through referrals, check out a BNI chapter near you by going to bni.com. See you next time.